to 6 Train Therapy. I'm DJ Mayday.
And I'm Professor S.
And this is our third take.
He's wearing shades.
Yeah, I'm wearing...
Everyone, he's wearing shades. Not sure what this is about because you didn't hang out last night, did you?
No. I definitely didn't hang out last night.
You didn't go to some club or the bar because you're kind of old, you know what I mean? You don't need to
Look
be
who's
in a bar.
talking.
Oh, I'm older.
Right.
I ain't wearing no bar, but I'm definitely...
What?
I'm not wearing no shades.
Well, I'm wearing shades today.
Yes.
For no reason. I just wanted to change the kind of look.
You took it off.
Yeah, because I can't wear it the whole time.
Okay.
I think people want to see into my eyes, see if I'm telling the truth.
Okay, please go on. You're wasting our audience's time right now.
No, I'm not. This is the banter, right? This is
This is called banter?
Yeah.
Okay.
No?
I guess, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
it is banter.
It is banter.
DJ Mayday said this is banter. We're doing banter, but we do have a subject, don't we? We have a focus.
Yes, we do. And the focus is, how is New York different, New York City different since the pandemic? So what we did was, since you guys, it's not just our opinion, we went out on the streets to see what other people were thinking.
Now, he didn't mean to say streets, but we're in New York, so it's streets.
It's the streets.
Yeah.
Hey, do you think New York has changed since the pandemic?
Definitely, 1,000%.
How so?
Depending on the area, I guess. But we're in Midtown right now, especially Midtown. It used to be like tourist center, and now it's kind of slumming, I guess.
So what do you mean? We're on 35th Street right now. So what's that like?
Yeah, 35th is like, I think you said before, it's kind of like the alleyway of 34th Street.
Right.
So it's kind of out of the way. Some homeless setups over here. And there's a lot of restaurants, things closed, so it's kind of out of the way and kind of hidden. There's, I guess, a lot of businesses, restaurants, there's enough stuff closed to where it's definitely different,
So you would say it's definitely different?
Oh, 100%. I think so.
Do you see it getting better?
Hopefully, but I think it'll be a while. Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Man on the street, DJ Mayday, come across a pedestrian. We're asking her, has New York changed since the pandemic?
New York has changed a bit. And in all honesty, I was not here for the pandemic. I had moved.
Oh, whoa. You left because of the pandemic?
I did not leave because of the pandemic. I left 6 months before it happened.
Ah.
So I was in New Orleans, and it was a different experience down there, but coming back, I can see that 14th Street, Union Square, it reminds me a bit of going to work with my dad in the 80s. My father was an MTA bus driver. So I'm seeing some of that 80s coming back. I also see how it's affected my friends who have stayed here. So it's affected them a little bit more. I see their behavior change. There's more of a fear going on. So I don't have the same fear because I didn't have to watch everything kind of fall apart together. But that's what I noticed. Like, my friends are like, yeah, I'm not going out past 8 o'clock. I'm like,
so would you say the city's less safe?
I would say, yeah, I mean, definitely. But I guess I love New York so much that I'm just not willing to walk around in fear. I love the city.
Cool. Do you see it getting better?
Yes and no. I see the rents are out of control. It makes no sense. It's going to push people right back out again. So I don't see how that's going to fix the problem. A $3,000 apartment should not be now $7,000, $9,000. That's ridiculous.
Wow, that's fucked up. Thank
Luckily,
you.
I'm in a rent stabilized apartment.
Interesting interview.
Yeah. Like particularly the guy, how he was describing 35th Street being the alleyway of 34th Street.
I think he has a very generally accurate take on the situation. I think it's a very good every man on the street type of situation.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a bubbling homeless,
Yeah, the homeless are more back
everywhere.
now. Before they weren't, you couldn't see them as visibly, and now they're kind of slowly becoming more visible, don't you think?
Yeah, and it changes every night. Like every time I go into the city, there's like a new like little mini community that's set up in a particular area, and then the next day when I come into work, they're just waking up when I'm coming into work, and there's a new group of people. You know what I mean? Like, so it's changing a lot, and things I've seen before in Manhattan is like, I just happen to never see this. I'm sure people have seen it, but people shooting up heroin in broad daylight.
Wow, you saw that?
Yeah.
Wow.
I see that, and that's kind of crazy. To watch people just shoot up in front of you. I seen that one time before this whole situation, and that was in Italy.
In Italy?
Yeah, years ago.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Where it was raining outside, and I was coming out of our like little hotel room, coming down the stairs, and there was this guy shooting up heroin in there. He scared the crap out of like the girls we were with, and then I said something to him. I was like, "Go out and get out of here. Go do that somewhere else," because he was literally in the lobby of the building.
Oh, okay.
And then.
Which is interesting because a lot of European countries have needle exchange programs.
Do they?
Meaning that if you use in the street, you can return your needle and get a fresh needle because HIV is transmitted through using used needles.
Yo, you know what's
and so Europe has more. Some countries, I can't recall all, but I know Europe is a lot more ahead of the game than America, I believe.
You know what I saw that was kind of scary, and it just made me think about what you just said, was that when in New York, when they were shooting up, I could see inside the vial, and it was red.
Yeah.
Is that blood, or is that the
blood.
color of heroin?
No, that's blood. That's blood
crazy.
going back up into the syringe. Oh yeah.
I mean, it didn't look like they had any problems with like.
No, they won't have.
share.
No. There's no problems with that. I think the issue, though, in terms of how forward-thinking Europe is that they know people do this,
right?
And so it's better to have a clean needle than for you to shoot up, then you pass it to somebody else, then they pass it to somebody else, another passes to someone else. So now we're all getting infected, but we all want to get high.
Right.
So they're much more ahead. Where you
but can you have enough? Can you possibly distribute enough needles to stop that?
Well, you'd have to want to go to a needle exchange program. Yeah, they're stocked up, of course. But not every person using heroin wants to go change their needle.
They don't even give a shit.
They don't give a shit.
Right.
But those that do, you have a safer way of getting high, which is realistic. A lot of people that's using, they don't want to stop.
Right.
So if you're going to use, let's use safely. That's the
condoms.
It's the same thing, and it's called. It's a different approach to addiction treatment. So it's kind of being more realistic where people are, because our attitude is, well, why can't they just stop using drugs, right? But the reality is people don't stop using drugs. People don't necessarily stop not using condoms. Like, you have to recognize that people have certain behaviors. So what is a way to do it as safe as possible?
You know what's crazy?
And by the way, that's called a harm reduction approach. Harm reduction approach, meaning that...
Is that realistic? Is it?
No, but it's an approach to addiction. Meaning that's a needle exchange program is based on a harm reduction philosophy or approach to addiction. It says basically we know that the people are going to use, so let's figure out how to support them using safely, but also sometimes it's a way of people starting even counseling, because in those needle exchange programs there are social workers that are there that can actually provide some type of counseling or addiction focused therapy or counseling. So it's not like you're just giving out needles. There's some type of information.
Comes with like more
information about using safely, about recovery, things like that. So you're really meeting people where they are, as opposed to having judgment that they're getting high. So it's interesting that you had that experience in Italy, but there's a bigger picture than that.
Well, that's just one aspect of the changes that New York has seen, and a lot of it is not seen. Like there's business buildings that aren't completely full still yet.
That's right.
You know what I mean? People aren't all the way 100% back yet. You know, tourism is not what it used to be. Though I've noticed that it's coming back, especially now that it's warmer out, and you know, it seems to be more tourists.
I went to a couple of Broadway shows recently, and you definitely do see more tourists in that 42nd Street, 45th Street kind of area in Broadway. If you guys know, those of you that are not from New York, you may not know exactly what we're speaking about, but where all the Broadway shows are, that is becoming a lot more crowded. When before it just wasn't.
Right. It's still not where it was,
Yes,
you know, before the pandemic, but it's definitely, it feels like it's kind of coming back. There's a different kind of feel in the city. It's not like what it was.
The energy feels like a 80%.
Yeah.
In my head, it's like an 80%.
Yeah.
When during the pandemic, it was like 20% to almost zero.
Right. Yeah. It was literally like, I remember walking. I went to Manhattan for a reason, and I was walking through, and it was lunchtime.
It was
a ghost.
It was a ghost town. It was like some kind of science fiction movie, right?
It was.
We work in a similar area, at least for a good chunk of the time. 34th Street, one of our main, commercial buildings is Macy's, so that's an area that's very highly populated with retail. And at that time, there really wasn't anyone in the streets, basically. So I know some businesses have not come back.
No, there's a lot of empty restaurants still. Like especially in those major business areas, like lower midtown, like where the buildings aren't full yet. Those restaurants aren't being supported all the way. So paying Manhattan rent, you know, it's too expensive to not have a full full patronage. So
and just so from a time perspective, we're talking to you in June 2022. If you hear or watch this broadcast, it's not going to be this time. I'm sure it's going to be different, but we're kind of giving you a snapshot of where we are right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then, not to mention, I don't know, but it just feels like this whole drug thing is like, it's kind of hovering over, because now the entire island of Manhattan smells like marijuana. Now, I have nothing personally against marijuana, but
people are using freely.
Yeah, openly.
And you do smell it and
everywhere,
so
everywhere. So it's like another aspect of it. You ever heard of the theory of it's called the high ape?
The high ape, no.
It's if you believe in evolution, it's the idea that somehow apes consumed naturally growing mushrooms, and it spurred on the growth of the brain.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know how true that is. I mean, that just might be pothead logic. I heard it. So
well,
it's not a reliable source, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, when you were speaking, the first thing I thought of is that, marijuana and other substances like mushrooms has been part of ancient cultures for thousands of years.
Yeah, so
all around the world. So I understand what you mean. I mean, you're going way back into evolutionary experience,
right.
But
so maybe our connection to these drugs is what my point is. It might be a lot. We might be a lot closer tied together than maybe previously thought.
Yeah,
that's my point.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
So that was like another aspect of how Manhattan is changing, and just New York in general. I mean, there's still like food banks and food lines, in the Bronx. I know that for sure. So it's a different look for sure, and there's still COVID stands where you can get a test, and so there's still lingering out there that
and I also think that because when we were talking about doing this subject, I mean, one of the things I thought about was how has it affected New York, but also how has it affected the individual, specifically living in New York, but how has it affected the individual? So I was just sharing from my own point of view is that working from home is very, very different, and being with yourself in your own head is very different. So as of this particular broadcast, right, we've just passed Mother's Day in May, and we're looking at Father's Day in June. And I started to think about my mother and my father, and it was a very, very kind of a sad feeling. Both of them are not alive. But I remember such great things about my parents, but I also miss them. So it would have been interesting if they were around during COVID. How would they have been? How would they have managed it?
Well,
It's just a fantasy.
I could take both my parents and my in-laws were around, and take it from me, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy because you fear for them the most.
That's right, being infected.
Right. So especially during the height of it, so it was a lot of running around for them, trying to protect them. They were always in our minds and our thoughts. You know, and they were the most in danger.
And sometimes not even being able to see your parents just because out of safety reasons. So yeah, I could imagine, which I didn't really think about that, but absolutely.
You know, it makes me think about, all right, so 9/11, remember when 9/11 happened? It kind of took, like maybe 5-6 years for us to kind of get over that. We never really got over it, but
to get back
to 100% normal, where we're walking,
Yes.
when nobody's shitting their pants when they take the train, and you know, they're not looking at Arab people
who look like
they might
be Middle Eastern,
right, and just make assumptions, and then
did I tell you about a story about one of my neighbors who's Puerto Rican that has that Middle Eastern look? Because you know, various ethnic groups, not mixture. You know, we end up looking like some other group, or we have like a very universal look, and so one of my neighbors. Is a very, definitely you could picture them as any ethnic group, but during the time of 9/11, the person that looked like somebody maybe Middle Eastern, they'd be catching hell, and he caught it.
Yeah.
And it was like shocking, but I understood just because, you know, of our genetics, he was targeted.
Right. I mean, if you think about it, Arabs are like some part African, some part European, and a lot of Spanish cultures are one part African, one part European, and they're somewhat indigenous. But to the point where I was trying to make with
getting New York coming back to normal after an event like that.
Right. So
like
it took about 5 years or so, and then remember the crash in 2008?
Yes, the economic crash.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the economic crash, and that took. It felt like it took longer almost, because it wasn't just emotional. It was actually. Fiscal. It had to do with money.
Lost money
and lost jobs,
That's
and
right.
it took 10 years to come back. Now I'm starting to get curious. Like, this shit has been going on for more than 2 years now. So how many years is it going to take to fully recover from this? So there's like aspects of it that feel kind of worrisome.
There's another trauma.
Yeah.
There's another trauma to our lives.
Yeah, to our public lives.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I don't know. I'm a little more hopeful for this one because it's I don't know. We have medications. If people buy into to be vaccinated, there's things people can do if they want to do something. And even if you don't want to take a vaccine, there's other precautions you can take. So you have some level of control over something you really cannot control. And the interesting aspect of it too, which is kind of crazy now that I'm thinking about it, is like 9/11 affected New York, the crash kind of affected the United States, COVID affected the whole world. So like, how is that? How long is it going to take to heal from that? So like,
especially when you have countries in, let's say, parts of Africa, certain countries where it's harder for them to get the vaccine. India, it's happening more, but there are parts of our world that are not getting access.
Yeah, and what I was super surprised to is China having such a hard time getting vaccines. I'm like, wait a minute, isn't everything made in China? Like, why?
Oh my gosh.
Why aren't they?
DJ Mady.
What is? Am I being racist?
Everything is not. I didn't use the word. I'm just saying.
No, you said, oh my gosh.
You said
like,
isn't everything made in China?
Well, yeah, like all the vaccines and the materials to hold them.
Absolutely, you're correct. Because I was watching something on Elon Musk and coming up with the electric vehicles, and he has a huge plant and another one being built in China. So I apologize for my reaction, because the reality is a lot of stuff is made in China.
So if everything is made there, so why are they having a problem getting the vaccine?
Are they having a problem?
Well, they're locking
down.
They're locking down their cities. Shanghai, I believe it was completely locked down for months, and that was recently.
Well, you know what? I mean, I don't know the politics of that, but at least they're locking folks down, and I think because of their culture and politics, they can lock people down.
Oh, they can.
Not
do it.
like
They can do it.
America.
Yeah,
They're
you
not.
can't.
You cannot.
You can't.
It's not gonna happen like
you
that.
know, it also makes me think. Like at first, I was like anti-vaxxers, you know, Trumpers, and all these people like not fucking just getting with the program.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a whole other segment that was like on board, 110%, doing the whole dance.
Mm-hmm.
And to find out towards the end,
Mm-hmm.
they kind of both were right.
What do you mean?
Meaning, we need to vaccinate.
Okay.
We need to social distance until we got a vaccine.
Okay.
And we need to wear
check.
masks, right?
Check.
But there comes a point where enough is enough.
Okay.
And if you don't push back the way a lot of these anti-vaxxers and maskers and all this, if you don't have that level of energy, we'd all be like they are in China, in Shanghai.
Oh.
They literally chain you inside your building.
Right. Right.
You know
So
what I
there was
mean?
enough of, if I'm understanding you correctly, there was enough of a buy-in in some way
To get through it.
to get through it too. You
And
know,
there's
so if
enough
you're not gonna wear-
pushback so you don't
Right.
take this out of control.
Right, right.
So-
So right now, as of this recording, we're doing well in the United States, even though
Well enough.
well enough because we are getting some increases in different places. So we're not really completely out of the
And we
woods.
never will. I
Right.
don't think we ever will.
Yeah.
So this is just part of our
We-
lives now.
we're-
And that's the
we are-
other aspect. We have
Yeah.
to deal with the fact that it's a part of our lives now.
That's right. That's right.
So
Exactly. I was just about to say it's like that family member that won't leave your apartment, but you keep them in you keep them in one
What are you
room.
trying to say?
What am I trying to say? What? Are you locked up in your apartment?
I'm in your apartment. Like, are you
You
trying
ain't
to tell me something?
you ain't locked up up in here. I want you to get the fuck out at some point. God damn, I gotta work tomorrow.
Me too.
Okay, well,
And I can't be doing it.
that's what he calls work. Creative designing underwear. Go ahead.
Oh, let's belittle what I do.
No.
Oh, you just sit there and talk. Oh,
I do.
you mean kind of like what we're doing
I
now?
talk to people in
Oh,
their
oh,
underwear.
oh.
In underwear.
See, maybe you shouldn't have said that.
No, I should. Excuse me, I'm a therapist. I'm actually legally a therapist, so that's a joke.
Yes.
You know? But, so what else? New York.
Yeah. So any other last words on New York and how it's changed? Anything that you can think of?
I just think that folks are a lot more open about mental health. I mean, as a therapist, I work in New York. I get calls from other New Yorkers seeking mental health, and I have more calls now of people seeking it out. And even if it's not the main thing it's a COVID related, but people are reaching out more in general. So I think COVID has made it okay to reach out, particularly in communities of color. I think it made a dent in that.
It made a dent. Yeah,
It made a dent.
definitely
It's
made
a dent.
I feel like almost we're kind of an example of that dent, maybe on some level.
And not only that, I was watching an interview with Lil Wayne, the rapper. He was talking about his mental health issues going all the way back to when he was a child.
now. It's okay.
And he
now.
was talking about it, yeah. So, yeah. So what are you trying to say? We're poster children for people of color?
No, I'm just
that
saying
agree
that
with
just
therapy.
just
is that it?
well, we've been doing this for longer, like you and I having these conversations, but so to speak, now we're taking it on the road, and I feel like that's important, like to
Absolutely.
see men having these conversations.
That's right.
Instead of like holding on to
demystify it and allow yourself to think beyond the box of being a male and not reaching out for help. You can reach out for help. You can be brown and black and reach out for help. You can be blue and green and reach out to help.
There's nobody blue and green.
The
Hulk.
But he's kind of like a dark green.
Well, anyway, that's going to conclude our episode of
Yes.
Six Train Therapy. I'm DJ Mayday.
And I'm Professor S. Thanks. Take care.
Peace.
It's a wrap.
More
It's a
Prosecco, please.
wrap, and I know, right? I'm sipping more than ever.
Ship, motherfucker.